Night spread over the plains like a dark velvet cloth. Long Ha Airport, just a streak of light among sugarcane fields. Starfield's ATR-72, Flight SF-92, was on its final leg from Na Ke, flying the RNAV procedure straight into runway 09. In the cockpit, Captain Tring Hao glanced at the digital clock. 21:47. Northeast wind, 6 kT, no rain, scattered low clouds. An easy night, if only the weather was considered. First Officer Lan was tuning the area, ATIS to get wind, visibility, pressure. The machine's voice droned, Information Kilo, wind 080 at 6, visibility 10 kilometers, altimeter 3006. She nodded lightly, switched to approach per the chart. Starfield 912, checking in, she called, voice round. The headset was silent. Only a faint background hiss. Lan frowned, turned the volume up one notch. Hao glanced over. No reply? I'll call again, Lan said, pressing PTT once more. Starfield 912, approach, radio check. Silence was still the answer. Tonight, the sky was like a sponge soaking up every word. Hao reached out, quickly turned the COM1 knob to check. The screen displayed 109.80. He scanned the chart. Long Ha approach was 119.70. Just one final digit different, 8 instead of 7. He cleared his throat. Lan, we're on 119.80. Correct channel is 119.70. Lan's face flushed quickly, but she calmly switched. 119.70 set. Starfield 912, Long Ha approach, radio check. A male voice came through clearly, as if someone in the next room opened a window. Starfield 912, read you 5. Descend to 5,000. Expect RNAV Z runway 09. Lan read back crisply. Hao half smiled. Frequencies don't lie. Either correct or silent. I thought I'd switched to 119.70 already, Lan said, both self-critical and reviewing SOP. When I tuned ATIS, I had COM2 on 126.25, then switched back to COM1 but didn't roll the encoder fully to 7. Hao didn't scold. He just reminded in an even voice. Who, where, what? And always cross-check frequency before calling. Those minutes of silence just now could be a whole lifetime on a stormy night. Approach's signal stretched like a taut string. They descended to 5,000 feet, turned vectors, then were handed off to tower. Lan wrote clearly in her scratch pad, Tower 118.30. When the aircraft was steady, at 4,000 feet, awaiting final intercept, she said, Tower 118.30 set. Hao nodded. Starfield, 912, Long Ha Tower, good evening, she called. Silence. Volume? Hao asked. Lan looked at the volume bar, 25%. On the previous leg, she had lowered it to hear interphone more clearly when the purser reported a sick passenger. She turned it up to 60%. Tower's voice burst out like a photo just developed. Starfield 912, continue approach, report established. Starfield 912, Wilco. Lan swallowed. The embarrassment of a small mistake dried her mouth, but her hands were steady. She checked squelch, still medium. Hao pointed at the small line under the screen. CTF 122.80, after hours. Long He was a mixed-use airport, few night flights. After 22:30, tower would close, all aircraft self-coordinate on CTF. He spoke as if reminding in advance. If we're late a few minutes, we'll be on CTF. And that's where phraseology must be even more precise, because no one supervises for you. The aircraft swept onto final. RNAV localizer latched. VNAV smooth. Lan lowered gear, extended flaps, red checklist. This time, frequency correct. Volume correct. Everything back to a ballad's steady rhythm. But the night hadn't finished its lesson. Touchdown as smooth as kissing water, the ATR-72 rolled onto taxiway E. The clock read 22:26. Tower was still open. Vacated runway 09 via Echo. Request taxi to stand 4, Lan called. Tower cleared and guided. As the aircraft docked, ramp lights cast yellow on the wings. Passengers rose. On interphone, Purser Le reported an elderly passenger needing a wheelchair. Howe nodded. I see the vehicle. Next sector was SF 913, back to Nhk, ETD 2250. They quickly checked NOTAM, fuel, updated weather, winds steady. While waiting pushback, an internal message flashed, tower close at 2230, CTAF 12280 active, self-announced positions. Howe exhaled. Just as expected. He rehearsed the classic CTAF calls in his head. Long haul traffic, Starfield 913, taxiing from stand 4 to Alpha, holding short runway 09. Who, where, what? Repeat at lineup, takeoff, departure. After pushback, engines started, radios checked. Land set 12280 on COM 1. COM 2 kept company frequency. She said, Long haul traffic, Starfield 913, taxiing to runway 09 via Alpha, Long haul. Silence. She repeated, this time lowering squelch one notch. Ocean noise whispered. Still silence. Howe glanced. Listen if anyone else is in the area? Land monitored COM 2 121.5. Emergency frequency, just in case. COM 1 still 122.80. She said, I think squelch is still too high. Lower more? One more notch, Howe said. But don't let noise flood. We still need interphone. She lowered. White noise rushed in like wind. She felt uneasy, nudged it up half a notch cleaner. Then repeated, Long haul traffic, Starfield 913, holding short runway 09 at Alpha, departing south, Long haul. This time, a faint male voice. Ong Hia. Skyvan. Backtrack. 09. Lan frowned. Readability 25. Like through a wall. A Skyvan was apparently backtracking the runway, rolling opposite to turn around, but unclear. Howe motioned, repeat CTF, with keywords in the middle, slow, and request confirmation. Long haul traffic, Starfield. 913, holding short runway 09 at Alpha, departing south. Aircraft backtracking. 09, please say, position, Long haul. A clearer voice replied, Skyvan 23, backtracking 09, passing midfield, will exit Echo, Long haul. Land jotted, Skyvan 23, in runway, will exit E. She keyed interphone. Lee, keep passengers seated. Another aircraft backtracking. We'll wait a minute. A minute later, Skyvan. Long Hay traffic, Skyvan. 23, clear of runway 09 via Echo, Long Hay. Land replied. Starfield 913, lining up runway 09, departing to the south, Long Hay. CTF SOP was like a memorized song. Who does what, where, when. The only problem arises when radios can't hear each other, and that problem came just as they throttled for takeoff. 60 knots, 80, 100, rotate. Aircraft lifted, wind roaring. How gear up, land flaps 0, climb, call. CTAF. Long haul traffic, Starfield. 913, airborne runway 09, climbing 2000, south departure, Long haul. No reply, of course. CTAF doesn't require answers. Leaving the area, Land tried center for IFR en route. She read OFP, center east 124.15. She set 124.15, called center east Starfield 913, passing 1,800 climbing 5,000, IFR to NHK. Silence. TX light lit, RX nothing. She repeated. Still silence. Howe frowned. Cross-check frequency. 124.15, Lan whispered. She flipped OFP page 2. Small margin note. Center east after 2300 L use 124.10. She hissed in frustration at herself. I missed the note. Howe didn't scold, just sighed. The CTF lesson just saved us from another minute of deafness. Set 124.10. Do a radio check before spilling content. Center east, radio check. Starfield 913 on 124.10. Starfield 913. Read you 5, go ahead. She read back orderly, got radar ident. At FL 9000, she finally lifted her finger from PTT, feeling like a slack string had been tightened to pitch. The night air was smooth. But a thread of doubt hung. Squelch still set a bit high for her taste. Volume just adequate. If storm arose, if noise rose, if adjacent channel bled, would she hear in time? Howe seemed to read her mind. He said, "Radio is an instrument. When the stage is quiet, lower squelch to hear even breaths. When the stage is too noisy, raise squelch to keep rhythm. And volume, never below 50% when IFR at night." Lan nodded. She turned volume to 70%, stuck a small tape beside the knob, marked with pen. 60% night IF. Some personal SOPs aren't in books, but save lives. The aircraft cruised smoothly, stars faint like salt. Lan reminded herself, correct frequency, proper squelch, adequate volume. The three legs of hearing speaking, and when one leg short, the stool tilts. Returning to Long Ha as SF-914 near midnight, they met another surprise. Center East handoff. Starfield 9. 14. Contact Long. High approach 119.7. Good night. Lon read back, switched 119.70. She called. Long Ha approach, Starfield 9. 14. Descending 8,000 for 5,000. Arnavza, runway 09. The reply sounded muffled, like from behind thick walls. Field 4. Wrong. Repeat. She repeated, slower. Still readability 2.5. Howe frowned at frequency chart. Next to 119.70 was 119.75, just 50 kHz apart, within VHF channel spacing. It was a military-based satellite field 60 nm west, sometimes broadcasting high power. If their VHF filter slope wasn't steep enough, or if that station leaked spurious, adjacent channel could bleed. Lan, try split comm. Comm 1, hold 109.70. Comm 2, monitor 109.75. Don't transmit. Listen. She did. On Comm 2, a clear voice. Approach military, traffic inbound. Then silence. She shivered. Adjacent channel alive. Howe nodded. Adjacent channel interference. We're correct, but overshadowed. Solution. Request quiet slot, catch troughs, put info in the middle. If needed, ask alternate frequency. Lan called. Long Ha approach, Starfield 914. Interference from adjacent channel, request short transmission window. Starfield 914, roger. Window now. Descend to 5,000, turn right heading 160. She read back. Just as her sentence ended, COM2 119.75 flared again. But too late to ruin. She half smiled, like slipping through a narrow door, sleeve brushing a thread. At 15 miles, approach cleared intercept final. Lan keyed handoff to Tower 118.30. But fate played tricks. Her finger tapped 118.20. Starfield 914, Long Ha Tower. Good evening, she called, on 118.20. Silence. The instinct to blame interference flashed, but she stopped herself. Suspect yourself first. She glanced at the screen, 118.20, a 2 instead of 3. She sighed, switched to 118.30. Starfield 914, Long Ha Tower. Good evening. Starfield 914, wind 0. 80 at 5. Continue approach, report established. She offered no excuse. She knew 1 second of pride equals 3 seconds of silence. Howe didn't give her a scolding look. He just said, human checklist. After every handoff, look twice at the number, do 1 short radio check if possible. And remember, pressing isn't equal to seeing. On final, VHF crackled. Lan saw squelch slightly high. She lowered 1 notch to catch the full word, cleared. Just then, tower. Starfield 914, cleared to land runway 09. Cleared to land 09, Starfield 914. Had she not lowered squelch, the last word could have fallen silent. Tiny details, 110 squelch, 1 last digit, 10% volume, like bolts on a bridge, unseen by passers-by, but entire caravans pass safely because of them. Smooth touchdown, ATR 72 rolled into Bravo, then stand 3. Engines off, Lan kept staring at the squelch and volume knobs, like 2 little animals now tamed. How removed his headset. Will debrief. Not to find fault, but to lock faults in the logbook. The small meeting room by the hangar smelled of fresh paper. On the whiteboard, How wrote 3 columns: frequency, squelch, volume. Under each, short lines like commands. Frequency. Double cross-check before every call. Speak digits 11970, not 1970, to avoid slips. Handoff. Read, set, point. Say. Read, set. Point to partner, call. CTF. Always confirm CTAF active hours. Prepare phraseology, who, where, what. Adjacent channel. If readability 2.5 and other channel alive, request quiet slot or alternate free key. Squelch. Default low medium at night IFR. Only raise if background too dirty. Lower 1 notch for critical clearances, clearance cleared to land, to avoid losing tails. CTF. Prioritize hearing over beauty, accept some noise. Volume. 60% in all-night IFR phases. Label beside knob. If reduced for interphone, restore immediately after. Double mute. When both speak, one lowers interphone to avoid covering VHF. LAN added with marker. Radio check before spilling content. Every time after switching in quiet or noisy environments. How nodded. Added. Pressing isn't equal to seeing. After handoff, look at number. Don't trust finger. They printed it pocket size, tucked in QRH. A soft discipline, saving costly silence. At the end, LAN apologized for 2 digit slips. Howe waved it off. Today's mistake is tomorrow's lesson. No one immune to 118.20 versus 118.30 or 119.70 versus 119.80. Only those who label them in memory repeat less. He closed the log, as usual, adding, correct frequency, proper squelch, adequate volume. When the 3 meet, the voice will reach home. At night, LAN crossed the ramp, wind carrying metallic coolness. She looked at red strobes blinking on sleeping aircraft. In her head, numbers 119.70, 118.30, 122.80 ran like rhythm. She saw how each frequency was a door, squelch a hinge, volume a handle. Open right, and the sky will reply. Next morning, SF 915 left at 0510. On climb, center east handoff, 124.10. LAN, red, set point, say, radio check crisp. Approach 119.70, she looked twice before calling. Tower 118.30, she listened 1 second to background before speaking. CTF 122.80, she lowered squelch 1 notch, spoke who, where, what, no more, no less. Everything smooth as a bird in dawn. When Tower said cleared to land, she heard all the way to the final consonant, long like a note held on proper breath. And when wheels touched down, she smiled faintly. Last night's frequencies had fully forgiven her, as the sky always forgives those who quickly learn from their own silences. The Saigon sky after rain poured down a light like honey, coating the glass surface of the vast Tan Tan airport. In the cockpit of the Airbus A321neo of Blue Way Airlines, Flight BW472, Captain Nguyen Dung leaned back lightly, eyes glancing across the VHF band. To his right, First Officer Vu Mai had just finished the NAT brief with the cabin crew, her voice still warm on the interphone. The schedule is really tight, Mai exhaled. Push 1840, slot into runway 25L, then straight north. Yeah, Dung nodded. But tonight it's crowded. Phraseology must be concise. Who, where, what? Don't tell stories. Mai smiled, but her eyes flickered with pressure. She had few hours in congested airspace, and this was rush hour in the sky. Out there, hundreds of metal arrows were fighting for each gap in frequency. ATIS broadcast on COM 2, wind 240 10 KT, visibility 9,000 meters, drizzle, QNH 1007, information Juliet. Dung nodded, noted Juliet in the scratch pad. Ground, required taxi. Mai called. Tan Thon ground, Blue Way 472, from stand Bravo 13, information. Juliet, request taxi for departure to Hanoi via SID Cuba. 1 Bravo, ready for pushback. We have all passengers on board, fuel loaded, catering complete. Ground equipment clear? Dung frowned slightly. My read in one long breath like a speech. On the other end, ground's voice cut in, Blueway 472, taxi to holding point runway, 25 left, via Bravo, Kilo, Kilo 1. Pushback approved. QNH 1007. Taxi to holding point 25 left via Bravo, Kilo, Kilo 1. Pushback approved. QNH 1007, Blueway 472. Dung said nothing, but in his mind marked a line. The call was too long. Extra details drowned. Lucky ground caught the middle. He reminded himself. Tonight he must cut Mai's sentences. They pushed back, joining the bright taxi stream. Red beacons atop 737s, 320s, 787s blinked forward like glowing snakes. Tower cleared line up and wait, then ordered, Blueway 47. 2, wind 2, 40 at 10, runway 25 left, cleared for takeoff. Runway 25 left, cleared for takeoff, Blueway 472. Dung held the nose. Mai placed hand on thrust levers. Flex set. Engines roared softly. They lifted, climbing past 500 FT, 1000 FT, turning along SID. Departure handoff. Mai keyed and called. Tan Thon. Departure. Hello. Good evening. This is Blueway 472, just airborne off 25 left. Climbing initially to 5,000 as per SID. Akuba 1, Bravo setting course for Akuba, passing 2,800, now climbing 3,300. Requesting direct to Akuba if possible. And also want to confirm if we can maintain 250 knots. Because there is a turbulence report from previous flight, we would like to reduce just a bit. Departure's voice cut in, sharp. Blueway 472, say again altitude. Mai jolted. She had swallowed the altitude right when it was needed. She spilled out, we're passing 3,700, climbing 5,000 on the SID, requesting direct to Akuba and speed 250 if possible. Blueway 47. 2, maintain 5,000, proceed direct to Akuba, speed 250 approved. Dung nodded, executed correctly, but he looked at Mai for a beat. Mai, keep it short. Who, where, what? Place the important info in the middle. On busy frequencies, long stories mean lost words? Mai pressed her lips. She knew. But in that moment, the urge to say it all won. At FL 110, handoff to center south. Mai checked OFP, saw center south 126.4. She called, center south, Blueway 472, maintaining 1000, request climb to flight level 390. Blueway 472, stand by. Background hiss filled the frequency. Mai waited. Nearly a minute, no one called her. Dung signaled, repeat short. Center south, Blueway 472, request climb. Blueway 472, climb flight level 350. After Redback, they stabilized in the crowded airway. High clouds like milk, moon, faint behind silk. In the cabin, Purser Ha reported passenger 19C slightly airsick. Dung let Mai answer interphone, then returned to the rhythm of the radio. He listened to crews fighting for speaking slots. Those with long sentences got clipped. Those short pierced through. Here, language also had aerodynamics. A short phrase cut through static like clean aerodynamics. A long one broke at the tail like vortices behind wings, and the night needed no storm to bring drama. Only words of wrong length. At FL 350, cabin lights dim like a cinema. Center switched them to North Sector 128.35. Mai called. Center North, Blueway 472, flight level 350, estimating point Baton at 55, request direct catchy. Blueway 472, cleared direct catchy, maintain flight level 360. Mai heard, maintain FL 360, but did not read it back, as she was busy writing catchy coordinates. She only read, direct catchy, Blueway 472. Dung straightened slightly. Read back missing altitude. I I heard it clearly. I was writing, my whispered. 3 minutes later, center called again, voice edged, Blue Wave 472, confirm maintaining flight level 360. My flinched. She was still at FL 350. She had failed to climb due to writing. Cold blood ran down her spine. Dung eased nose. Climb 360. Now. Blue Wave 47. 2 climbing flight level 360, sorry. Center's tone softened. Blue Wave 472, roger. Traffic above was coordinated. Next time redback altitude. Dung did not scold. He explained, Hereback is ATC's final safety net, but our readback must be complete. If altitude, heading, speed, runway isn't read back, the controller's brain closes the problem unconfirmed and breaks. My bit her lip. She wrote in Scratchpad, RBK alt. At FL 360, they requested 20-degree right weather deviation. This time, Mai was concise. Center, Blue Wave 472. Request 20 right deviation due weather. Blue Wave 472, deviation right 20 approved. When able, proceed direct catchy. Right 20 approved. Direct catchy when able. Blue Wave 472. Dung nodded. Phraseology returned to correct form. Short, clear, repeat, essentials. Near Hai Von area, center handed to Hanoi Center 125.2. Mai called, Hanoi Center. Blue Wave 472, established FL 360, direct catchy, request descent planning. Blue Wave 472, descend flight level 200, B level at Dolan. My readback. Descend flight level 200, level at Dolan. Blue Wave 472. They descended. Dung deployed slight speed brake. Frequency was crowded. Some crews spoke broken English, long sentences. ATC kept say again. Hereback thread thin as mist. Dung murmured, My tonight you learned 3 lessons. Too long, lost words. Incomplete readback, missed clearance. Improper, who where what. ATC confused. I know, Mai admitted. At home I speak smoothly. Up here words need aerodynamics. They crossed Dolan on level. Approach took over. On 120.6, ATC voice urgent. Maintain, left heading, descend, speed, caution traffic. Amid chatter, crew TPC 803 and A320 charter rambled. Approach good evening. This is Tango. Papa Charlie 803. We are like around catchy at flight level something and would like to go down to maybe 10,000 because we see some buildups and also passengers need to use restroom and we would appreciate vectors to avoid the bumpy area if you can. ATC cut. TPC 803. Say your present altitude concisely. We are 310, descending, maybe. Dung glanced at Mai. She shivered. In crowded frequencies, requests must be needles. And maybe was a forbidden word. Later, approach cleared BW 472. Blue Wave 472. Descend 1000, reduce to 210 knots, turn left heading 150, vector for ILS 29. My read fully. Descend 1000, speed 210, left heading 150, vectors for ILS 29. Blue Wave 472. Correct. Minutes later, they cut base leg. Near intercept, approach added, Blue Wave 472, maintain 210 knots to 5 DME. Cleared ILS runway 29, report established. Frequency crowded. Mai planned a full readback, but placed the core in middle. Cleared ILS 29, maintain 210 to 5 DME. Blue Wave 472. Readback correct, Mai exhaled. She had placed the core right, kept it short. But the real test waited. CTF. Hanoi, late at night, was a black river. Tower closed at 23:30 for equipment maintenance. From 23:20, approach would transfer crews to CTAF, 122.9 for self-coordination. NOTAM recorded. BW 472 was right at 23:18. Blue Wave 472, after Gondu contact, CTAF 122.9, report intentions. After Gondu, CTAF 1229, Blueway 472. Dung looked at Mai, voice deep like an old reminder. CTAF has no ATC here back. Phraseology must be cleanest. Who, where, what. Speak slow, clear, firm. Place core info in middle. Mai nodded. She switched 122.9, set volume 70%, squelch one notch down. She called, Hanoi traffic, Blueway 472, ILS runway 29, 10 miles final, 210 knots to 5 DME, will vacate left via Charlie, Hanoi. Another voice joined, crisp, clear. Hanoi traffic, VJ8864, backtracking runway 29 from Echo to Delta, will exit Delta, Hanoi. Dung smirked. Good. The other side also precise. Mai continued. Hanoi traffic, Blueway 472. 5 miles on ILS 29, 210 knots to 5 DME. Continuing approach. Hanoi. Hanoi traffic, VJ8864, clear of runway 29 via Delta, Hanoi. CTAF rhythm flowed smooth. Who, where, what. Every line sufficient. At 4 DME, Mai slowed to VAP, announced. Hanoi traffic, Blueway 472, 4 miles ILS 29, reducing to VREF, full stop, Hanoi. Touchdown smooth. Mai used light reverse, turned Charlie. She called, Hanoi traffic, Blueway 472, vacated runway 29 via Charlie, taxiing to stand Alpha 6, Hanoi. Comfortable silence. No more words needed. CTAF, though without ATC, was still a symphony if all played in rhythm. At the stand, clock 23:27. Mai removed headset, pressed forehead to seat back for a second. She rewound the past 2 hours. Long sentences clipped, read back missing altitude, clearance nearly missed, then clean phraseology opening the way. Dung uncapped his pen. Quick debrief, right at seat. Yes, Mai said, sitting upright. Dung drew 3 boxes, who, where, what, on small paper. At departure, you told a story. Long sentence lost words, ATC had to say again. At center north, you skipped altitude in red back. Here back loop broken, almost stayed wrong FL. At approach, you fixed. Concise, core in middle, full readback. At CTF, you were clean. Everyone knew who, where, what. No collisions in language. I apologize for the FL360 part, Mai admitted. Not important. Key is immediate correction, and we will nail this into SOP. He smiled, eyes kind but strict. Language isn't just for nice sound. It's an invisible runway. Short, correct. Sufficient is the break. Readback is shoreline lights. Hearback is radar. Miss one, and the sky swallows us. Mai nodded, smile thin as thread. Next morning, Blueway training room lit early. Dung and Mai sat before whiteboard. On it, Dung wrote with marker. 1. Standardized phraseology. Golden model, who, where, what. Who, clear call sign. Don't swallow consonants. Where, position, altitude, up procedure point. What, intention, clearance, request. Sentence length. 6-9 seconds on busy freq. If more, split 2 beats. Place core, Alt H to SP runway, in middle. Speaking speed, 170-190 WPM, stress numbers. Avoid vague words, maybe kind of around. Don't tell stories, keep non-ATC info on company frex. 2. Readback, chalker, hearback. Iron rule, altitude, heading, speed, runway, QNH, always read back fully. If partial hearing, say again altitude only. Wait for ATC confirmation. If silent, doubt yourself first. 3. Techniques to keep message alive. 2-beat strategy. End with call sign. Say number standard, 5, 9er, 1000. Repeat only requested part. 4. CTF, no one listens for you. Standard frame, airport traffic, call sign, position intention, airport. Mandatory points, lineup, takeoff, airborne, 10-5-4 final vacate. Volume 60% at night, squelch, 1 for clearances, clarity over courtesy. 5. Common self-errors. Storytelling. Company freck, missing core in readback. Sticker, RBK core, near panel. Uncertain heard, short confirm. Calling without set freck, read set point, say rule. Dung-handed. My laminated pocket card. Phraseology card, BW. Who, where, what, or nines. Core. Red back, Alt HDG SPD, RYQNH, put core in middle. Say again, part only, CTAF X 5 points. Volume, 60% night. Squelch, 1 for clearance. Carry it. Every rush hour, glance once, Dung said. I'll stick it to clipboard edge, Mai smiled. They listened again to recorded training audio when Mai rambled at departure. Third ear listening revealed misrhythm. Mai logged, when wanting to say much, pause, choose best 6 to 9 seconds. When wanting completeness, put core in middle. When wanting speed, speak slower. That afternoon, Mai flew BW 573 to Jianning. Ground crowded like a market. She opened card, glanced, then called. Tan ground, Blue Way 573, stand Bravo 11. Information Kilo, request taxi for departure 25 left via Akuba 1 Bravo. Blue Way 573, taxi to holding, point 25 left via Bravo, Kilo 1, QNH 1006. Bravo Kilo 1, QNH 1006, Blue Way 573. No excess, no lack. At departure, she. Departure, Blue Way 573, passing 2,500, climbing 5,000, request direct Akuba. Blue Way 573, direct Akuba approved, climb flight level 350. Direct Akuba, climb flight level 350, Blue Way 573. Dung sat jump seat, smiling. He needed say no more. Language had entered aerodynamics. The story had no thunderstorm, no engine fire. But it had the danger of one missing word and one extra sentence. In crowded skies, standardized phraseology is the art of reducing drag for speech. Read back, hear back are the wings and flaps of communication, deployed at the right time to land a clearance into human minds noisier than clouds below. At night, Mai walked the glass corridor, rain tapping. She stopped at a window, saw another plane departing, lights flashing like punctuation marks. In her ears, a whisper. Who? Where? What? She smiled, pulled her collar, walked on. Ahead, frequency waited. Not to hear stories, but to hear sentences. And she knew from now on, the last sound of every cleared to land would arrive whole, no longer swallowed by an extra word. Night covered Lianhai Airport like a dark blue velvet, the PAPI lights flashing red-white like 4 patient heartbeats at the end of runway 21. Above, the A321neo of Pacific Sky, flight PS318, was turning in from the east, carrying 186 passengers after a day of rough seas. Captain Jin Trak rested his hand lightly on the thrust lever, watching the speed tape steady, feeling the aircraft smooth as a blade honed to the edge of paper. On the right, First Officer Tu Uyen adjusted her headset, voice firm. Lianhai, approach, Pacific Sky 318, descending 1,000 to 7,000. Information, Mike. Request vectors ILS 21. Pacific Sky 318, descend to 6,000, turn left heading 160, reduce to 210 knots. Uyen answered, as reflex. Descending 6,000, left heading 160, speed 210, Pacific Sky 318. The reply closed the read-back-hear-back loop. The information tightened like a seatbelt. Trak nodded lightly. He belonged to the type who only trusted words repeated correctly. For him, every cockpit error often began from one syllable. Tonight the sky was clear, but the frequency crowded. Shift change hour, arrivals and departures flooding in like tides through a narrow strait. At Lianhai approach radar position, controller Trin Khan sat upright, left hand rolling a stress ball, right hand flicking a pen across paper strips. The radar screen was his own sky, flight tags and arcs, speed vectors, altitude indicators. PS318, 7,000, 6,000. HDG 160, SPD 210. Con marked neatly. Tonight he had an extra charter flow, Laro Air 742, promising hard to hear, since charter crews often skewed phraseology. Laro 742, descend to 8,000. Turn right heading 180. The reply crackled. 2, right 18. Con frowned, hear back broken. He pressed, Laro 742, say again, altitude. Descend 8,000, Laro 742. He nodded, underlined 8,000. Higher up, Orchid 55 requested direct. Lower, JX 903 asked for speed reduction. The web of sentences intertwined like traffic flows through a six-way junction. One driver not blinking at a turn was enough for chaos. Con poured another instruction for PS 318. Pacific Sky 318, turn left, heading 140, descend to 4,000. Uyan Crisp, left 140, descend 4,000, Pacific Sky 318. At FL 140, a B737 requested weather deviation. At 9,000 FT, Laro 742 was cutting across the inbound path. Con needed to weave two planes apart with two numbers and a left-right. He said, Laro 742, turn right, heading 200, maintain 8,000. Traffic crossing left to right, Pacific Sky A321 level 6,000. Right 200, maintain 8. Laro's voice still missing call sign in redback, but the core intact. Con heard, but not satisfied. He zoomed 318 tag. ALT 5600. Speed 210, correct. Separation widening. Twalu 200 FT vertical and opening. In PS 318 cockpit, 2 Uyan tapped SPD 210. Maintain on scratchpad. She turned to Trass. On base, maybe request 190 to keep the rhythm. Fine, but don't ask when frequency is tight. Place the core in a short sentence, Track replied, eyes scanning. One sweep enough to see the theoretical bird. VSI, 2000, ALT, 5M100, FPA 3.0 degree. Approach, called again, Pacific Sky 318, turn right heading 180, descend to 3000, reduce to 190 knots. Right 180, descend 3000, speed 190. Pacific Sky 318. Uyan repeated fully. She knew the drill. Sweat cool behind her ear, headset in form. Read back, far, hear back, like clapping call and response. If one side missed the beat, the poem broke. But not so with Laro 742. When Con called, Laro 742, reduce speed to 210 knots. The reply, reducing. Speed now. Con narrowed eyes. Missing number. Hearback error. Laro 742, say again your speed. 210, Laro 742. He scribbled quickly. On radar, 318 and Laro 742 vectors widened. His shoulder eased a fraction. The feeling of being heard always relaxed the chest. He continued. Pacific Sky 318, turn right heading 210, cleared ILS runway 21, maintain 190 to 5 DME. Uyan repeated, right 210, cleared ILS 21, maintain 190 to 5 DME, Pacific Sky 318. Con marked CL ILS 21, SPD 195 DME. Planned handoff to tower after established 10 seconds. Everything locked. Only a small screw left. Would tower hear the maintain 190 in time? Actually, tower didn't need to. Approach controlled speed to 5 DME, but extra ears never hurt. In the system, Herback wasn't just ATC pilot, it was also ATC-ATC, and if one ear failed, the orchestra lost rhythm. At tower room, controller Jam Fo had just taken shift, eyes lingering on untouched coffee. He heard 118.5 buzzing, intercom flashing, approach transferring PS3 to 18 inbound. Theo picked up. Received. But just then, fire truck on apron requested to cross service road due to pipe leak. Fo glanced at taxiway cameras, right hand still on PTT. Half a second split ears, half for ground, half for sky. and it was such halves that left loops unfinished. Localizer alive. Capture, Tu Uyen whispered. Glide alive. Capture, Jin Track answered. Upper light green, needles dropping like a leaf in season. In Uyen's headset, approach handoff. Pacific Sky 318, Contact Tower 118. Decimal 5, good evening. 118. Decimal 5, good evening. Pacific Sky 318. Uyen switched. 118.5 lit. She called. Lian Hightower, Pacific Sky 318, established ILS 21190-5 DME. Silence a beat. Jom Fo had just answered intercom to fire crew. Wait 30 seconds. His ear caught hiss. 318's call slipped in as he released PTT, left ear half a beat late. He answered delayed. Pacific Sky 318, Lian Hightower, continue approach. Wind 210 at 7, report 5 DME. Uyen read back. Continue approach, report 5 DME. Pacific Sky 318. She watched DME. 6.3, 6.0, 5.7. Checklist line, 190 to 5 marked red. She held, SPD 190. At 5.0, she called. Lian Hightower, Pacific Sky 318, 5 DME. Fo replied, while counting distance of a C-172 night trainer leaving. Pacific Sky 318, wind 210 at 8, runway 21, cleared to land. Uyen read back. Cleared to land runway 21. Pacific Sky 318. Words round. But one microparticle missing. Tower had no hearback, since approach gave speed to 5 DME, and approach had signed off. Both believed 318 held 190 to 5 DME, which happened, and after 5 DME pilot back to VAPUS, which was happening. No problem seemed. But above, Laro 742 vectored for ILS 21, at 10 DME, speed 210. Approach instructed, maintain 210 to 6 DME, read and heard correct. But at handoff, Jamfo only got Laro 742, ILS 21, 210 to 6, on system text, while his ear pulled by an intercom ping. He didn't repeat speed to Laro when they called tower, procedure didn't require. All still correct, until Laro misheard 210 to 5 somewhere, crew change, mind overloaded. They slowed early to 190 from 7.5 DME, without telling, busy briefing. Longitudinal separation began thinning. Khan at approach saw Laro dropping speed faster than planned. He called tower via intercom. Tower, check Laro 742 speed. They're at 190 before 6 DME. Fo, okayed, eyes still on Delta taxiway camera where fire truck waited. He pressed to Laro. Laro 742, continue approach, wind 200 at 7. Continue approach. Laro 742. Laro voice skipped speed read back since tower didn't mention speed. Fine. Loop on speed left open. Meanwhile, PES 3U18 at VAP 145 KT 4.3 DME, glide straight. TCAS silent. Jin Track murmured, beautiful as painting. He smiled. But every painting needs a frame. Here speak is the frame. Roger. Uyen answered, eyes on needles, ears waiting, cleared to land. Clearance had come. Now, the shared path with trailing traffic. Approach saw Laro eating into PS318 speed faster. He called tower again. Laro is 3 nm behind PS318, speed 190 from 7.5 DME. Need hold 210 one more mile. Fo nodded, but missed the slot to remind. After 2 missed hearbacks, the music line was thin. At that moment, C-172 trainer called, final touch and go request. Tower split ears. Priority to commercial, he told C-172 make short approach. In 3 seconds of gathering thought, he missed golden phrase, Laro, maintain 210 to 6 DME. Laro flew believing cleared to reduce. 318 flew believing trailing held 210. Everything seemed fine, separation marginally okay, until drizzle fell, wind dropped 2 kT. Laro trimmed another 5 QT to ease GS needle. Separation 2.6 nm, edge. PS318's TCS gave TA, traffic. Traffic. Jin Track glanced ND, spot climbing fast from behind. He didn't panic, but voice dropped half-tone. Tower, Pacific Sky 318, we have TA from trailing traffic. Confirm Laro 742 maintaining separation? Jomfo jolted. The gap vanished. He pressed PTT. Laro 742, increase speed 210 immediately. Increasing 210, Laro 742. This time full readback. Separation stretched 2.9. 3.1. Clear of conflict. TCS silent. At approach, Khan dropped the stress ball. It bounced once, heartbeat back to tempo. He saw again the value of a closed hearback loop. 318 continued into lights. Jin Track whispered, "One repeated number buys 1 mile of peace." Uyen smiled. That line would stay in her notebook. Rolling to gate C6, 318 shut down. Cabin quiet like a theater after curtain. Purser Thu Hoa reported, "Passengers safe." One little girl praised the plane landed like touching cotton. Jin Track laughed. "Cotton is good, as long as not touching." He swallowed, "Tail of traffic, not to joke too hard after a TA." Hot debrief right in cockpit. Tu Uyen recalled, "I read back approach, read back tower." But the TA was Lyro mishearing speed 210.6, reducing early, while tower busy with C-172 and service road so didn't restate. Jin Track nodded. "Correct, and lesson not only for them, for us when hearing tower continue without repeating maintain 190 to 5, since that was approaches. We could proactively announce right on Freaky, maintaining 190 to 5 DME. Half a sentence but locking loop for tower and trailing ears." Uyen wrote red. Self-confirm speed, alt still valid when handoff. If freck free. That's the art. Don't abuse frequency, but pierce one pin at right place. At tower, Jam Fo stayed 10 more minutes, replayed tape. He heard his missed slot. Tiny. 2 breaths, but enough for drift. He noted, when handoff carries speed alt constraints, tower should proactively hear back to trailing aircraft, though not mandatory. A line, Laro 742, maintain 210 to 6 DME locks loop. When distracted, service road, fire truck, training traffic, prioritize short clear enough comms first, then ground. 3 seconds early means 1 mile piece. He sent note to supervisor. At approach, Trincon filed ASR, no occurrence, lesson learned. Wrote, internal hairback must close with a digit, 210.6 when astray half a beat. Next day, Pacific Sky quick review. Jin Track drew red back taut hearback loop like a lock. ATC speaks. Pilot read back. ATC hearback confirm correct. He marked 3 weak spots. Pilot not reading back core, alt e disparition. ATC not hearback incomplete readback, busy pressure. Handoff between approach tower or ATAT not passing, constraint still valid. We can't control HC side, but we can reinforce our loop with one timely short line, he said. E.g., maintaining 190 to 5 DME just after tower, or level 6000 when Freck crowded, even if already set at approach. Tu Uyen raised hand. If Freck too busy, risk blocking others? Yes. That's why rhythm sense matters, Track smiled. Only break in with short enough loop locking lines. If no gap, stick to base procedure, eyes on NDTCAS, hands on speed alt, ready RATA. Noon, PS 319, same crew, departed to knee lock. Frequency as busy. Approach said, Pacific Sky 319, descend to 5000, reduce to 210, turn left heading 150. Uyen read back short full. Handoff to tower early since Freck tight. Uyen self-inserted. Lian High Tower, Pacific Sky 319, established ILS 21, maintaining 190 to 5 DME. Tower replied immediately. Roger. Maintain 190 to 5 DME, wind 210 at 8, continue approach. Loop locked. 2 miles piece behind, signed by half a sentence. After landing, Jin Track sat quiet a moment, then exhaled. See, just half a sentence. No speech, just a lock. Uyan nodded. She knew this job taught speaking less to hear more to fly right. That evening, Trin Khan washed face in tiny shift room sink. He looked in mirror, saw old dark circles. He remembered last night's two beats, one missing red back from Laro, one delayed here back at tower. He thought, one digit can be shoreline light. Then returned. Hand on stress ball like on a piano key. Night again, and the lock loop must close thousands of times. Pacific Sky memo sent to all crews and ATC pilot coordination. Title, Locking the Readback Talk Hearback Loop. Short, sufficient, in place. Core mandatory readback, RBK core. ALTI, HDG, SPD, RWI, QNH. Syntax, descend 4000, turn left heading 160, speed 210, runway 21. No additions, no missed units, end with call sign. Hearback, roll both sides. If ATC silent incomplete hearback, pilot proactive. Confirm altitude 4000 for Pacific Sky 318. If FREC busy, ask, say again, part only. ATC, handoff constraints, speed, alt to DME, should be voiced or clearly marked. Proactive loop lock. Line at handoff. Immediately after tower, approach. If constraint valid, transmit half-sentence lock. Maintaining 190 to 5 DME, Pacific Sky 318. Level 6000 until Dolan, Pacific Sky 319. Only when FREC has gap, course 2 a sec, sentence, or 3-4 sec, call sign discipline and speech rate, who where what, 6-9 sec, stress numbers, 9er for 9. Avoid vague words, maybe around. Don't tell stories. Signs of open loop and immediate fix. If not sure, heard correctly. Say again, part only. If you missed core and read back, add next sentence. If others read back incomplete but relevant, assert your own correctly. CTF and no hearback environment. Each call self-locks. Airport traffic, call sign, position, mode, intention, airport. If trailing state constraints, maintaining 190 to 5 DME. Practice, frequency rhythm. Listen 1 to 2 beats before transmitting. First sentence for core, second if needed for extra. Less but right beats more but dropped. Pocket card, stick beside comm panel, RBK core, ALT, HDG, SPD, RWI, QNH lock. At handoff, maintaining, level, until. Say again, part only. Nines. Who where what stress numbers, 9er for 9. At bottom, size.